So Theodore Adorno, philosopher, Marxist, cultural materialist, a Jew, after World War II, he writes famously, no poetry after Auschwitz. After catastrophe and tragedy, there can only be silence. Rabbi Soloveitchik, moving to a different time, says more or less the same, that in the face of catastrophe, the best response is simply silence. And he refers to Aaron after his sons are dragged out of the Holy of Holies for bringing strange fire. And the verse says, after and Aaron was silent. Now, certain theologians and politicians should be silent in their attempts to explain catastrophe. But the approach of Isaiah is, in the response to catastrophe, there's only one thing you can do, and that's write poetry. Calling Isaiah a poet is not to diminish him, but it's to call attention to the skills of his craft that he uses in creating what I think is a kind of divine rhetoric. He says that his ears are disciples to God, and his mouth, using the same adjective, is wise. And that shows for Isaiah that his craft is first translating God into his mind, and then translating what's in his mind to others. That's the divine rhetoric. Isaiah says in this week's part of the story in Act 2 that he's spat on, that he's wearied and tired. And the reason for this is because he needs to develop or generate so many different poetic images in order to console the people of Israel. And the poetic versatility is not just style, it's the way Isaiah communicates through poetry. So it's not only Isaiah, but really the entire tradition of Tanakh, of the Holy Scriptures, and also, yes, of Torah Shebaal Peh, the oral law, is poetic in the sense that it is a created thing. We should only look at the story that Isaiah creates, a drama in 7 acts, in the same way we look at Shakespeare. Because when we look at Shakespeare, we look carefully. What is the poet doing? And that's what Isaiah is doing as well. He's teaching, and this is a strange chidush, a strange perspective, that with the infinite God comes the beginning of a sacred poetry and an end to literalism. Isaiah, in this week's Consolation, is trying to teach the people of Israel how to read. And reading in darkness, which Isaiah finds himself, is difficult. And we are distracted by false lights. And Isaiah is saying what Shakespeare's Hamlet will say 2 millennia later, that you must read with the mind's eye. You must read beyond the literal. The infinite God demands that. And poetry is so successful because it admits its failure. It captures one aspect of the divine and yet another and another and another. And even the accumulation of all of them don't even approximate any conception of God, but it's what we have. The metaphors are what we have, and Isaiah is a master poet.